Hey guys, it's Jeremy. We're gonna talk really quickly about how to create a new level in the game since we are now level editor based from Unity rather than doing everything procedurally. So right in front of us we have a super trivial level. This is level 2, at least for the sake of level 2 testing. If I load up level 1, there's also some other examples. But let's go ahead and create a new level. So all you have to do is hit File, New Scene. And of course this is all done in Unity and it has to be based off of the current latest build. You can't really do it with a generic level editor. You have to do it really through our code mixed with Unity. So anyways, let's go ahead and now save this scene. We're going to call it level 3. And in this scene, we're going to go ahead and create a couple of really important key elements that have to be in all levels. So going back to level 1, just as a quick demo before we make our own level, you'll see that there's a couple of icons. These icons are strictly for the level editor and they won't appear in the game, but what the icons represent will appear in the game. So one of the main important icons is the stop icon, which represents the win condition. So on the right, you can go ahead and see what kind of properties that the icon can have and what the icon can even be to begin with. In our case, it's a win condition, and you could either declare that the player wins by killing everything, which it's currently set on, or by mining everything, or by win by a certain amount of time. So if you click on the time, you could go ahead and choose how long it takes for them to win. And that's in seconds, but it represents the minutes and seconds on a field right below. If you select the mineral here, it'll be declared as a mineral in this little drop-down menu. Exact same kind of base concept is you choose the type and then you define some sort of property. So for the big mineral, it's 2000, and for the small mineral, it's 1000. Arbitrary numbers for the sake of testing. And here, if we zoom in, we could see some junk that's part of the scenery. So this is a prefab given to me by Mano, which very nice work. But I duplicated it, so the one you gave me is the asteroid, and the one that I duplicated has the kind of remnant satellite junk. And again, instead of choosing mineral or win condition, we just choose junk. And junk has no special properties. If we zoom out, you'll also see that there's these kind of declaration like warning signs, and these represent enemy spawns. So enemy spawn is based on where you place it, but more importantly based on when you want the enemies to spawn and how many of each enemy you want to spawn. So you define how many seconds into the start of the game, or from the start of the game, enemies should spawn. So you have to spawn it based on time and not events. And then the other three fields are just the respective count for each enemy group. So in this case, in the top left, we're only spawning 3 enemies of the first category 30 seconds into the game. Here we're spawning 5 enemies of the first category and 2 of the middle category, and we're doing that 150 seconds into the game, which is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So this kind of defines the premise and the basics of a level. So let's go ahead and go back to the level 3 that we were going to try and edit. So I'll double click on that. To create any of these properties and elements, they all have to derive from level entity. So what we could do is create a new game component. So select the scene, create empty game component. And in the scripts/world directory, you're going to find something called level entity. And it's super important that all the level objects derive from level entity, because that's what really defines them to be included in our level. Also, you'll notice that scenes come default with cameras. Just make sure to delete those, because we load our camera from the main scene rather than through each individual level. So here we have the main original game object, and we're going to change that to a win condition, and for this level we're going to win only by mining everything. We're going to go ahead and create another game object which is going to represent maybe an enemy spawn location. So here we create the game object, we again drag and drop level entity.cs onto the game object, we select the game object, change its type to enemy spawn. Let's say they spawn 30 seconds into the game and it spawns 1 of each ship. So we go ahead and have that done. Now you should know that for now at least, all of the levels are 1000 by 1000. Technically the levels are 2000 by 2000 units in size in both dimensions, but it's 1000 unit in each direction. So for example, the max left coordinate is -1000 and the max right coordinate is +1000. So here we want to spawn the enemy in the top left. So we're going to do x is equal to 1000. And y is equal to, x should be -1000 since we want to do top left, and y is going to be 1000. So here we have that set up. So far, so good. Now let's actually create some minerals. In our case, minerals are just a prefab ready to go. We're going to go ahead and drag and drop it onto the scene. Make sure you scale it up appropriately. In our case, everything seems to be good to go. We just need to rotate it so that it faces the camera. So real quick, -90. Yeah, here we go. Where was it? -190. Yes, -180. So we're rotating it towards the camera. There's nothing complicated here. And we're going to zoom in really quick. Oh yeah, and make sure that the Z is set to 0 for all of these objects. It doesn't matter at all to the game itself, but the level editor needs them to be on the plane, on the XY plane, for this to be at least visible to you in the level editor. So again, you'll notice that we've got this junk, or not the junk, but we've got the mineral type. We could also create junk if you want, which is just drag and drop the same kind of concept, but it's a junk item. Make sure to scale it up again appropriately, put the Z to 0, and rotate it to face the camera. So in our case, let me do -180. So here we've got junk to the left of the starting position, which is always the origin, and then also minerals to the right. So everything seems to be pretty fun. Except, make sure that both of these objects are level entities, which is something that I forgot to do. So here we need to define that this is going to be a mineral. So there we just selected mineral. And minerals need mineral count, how much you can actually mine from them. In our case, we're just going to do something super trivial like 100, so we could actually play the level. And here, it's not going to be a mineral, because it's a satellite, so we need to flag it as a junk. And junk, fortunately, has nothing special about it. It's just the declaration. It has no properties. So to make sure that this gets included in the project, hit Build Settings, add Current Scene. So now you'll see that it has level 1, level 2, and level 3, and the main scene. Also, we need to load something called I'm trying to find the name. Here we go. Called the levels config file. So it's levelsconfig.txt. It's a specialized file that kind of declares all of the levels, the level names, the win and the lose text, as well as the size. So in our case, for the sake of debugging, we're going to tell that level 1 is actually level 3 geometry. And before we could launch the game, make sure that you are in the main scene, so just double click on main scene. You can't run the game without running main scene first. Hit run, play game, level 1, launch, and there we go. So we've got the level loaded, we have all of our ships loaded and ready to go. If you zoom in, you could see the junk to the left, so that's the little abandoned satellite. I gotta zoom in. It's a little bit hard to see because you have a ship kind of scrolling through it. And then also if we zoom out again, we should see the minerals somewhere here on the right. It might be hidden by the ship because I put them at really small coordinates. But here at 30 seconds into the game, the enemies have spawned. You can see on the mini-map that the enemies have the little red dots. Here they're going to start going into combat. I've put the game into fast mode just so and then we could kind of simulate the game really quickly. First ship is down, they're fighting each other, blah blah blah. I'm gonna see if yeah, there we go. So now that the main ship has moved away from occluding the mineral, you can actually see it. So we know that what we create in the editor is going to appear here. I'm gonna also create a main base and put a little mining station on. Now, mining stations, actually let me choose, oh crap, I don't know why that put that there. Alright, we need to power the mining station. Once the mining station is built, you could go ahead and hit Queue Ship. It's going to queue up a single miner. There's a very small glitch, I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to it today, but the glitch spawns these mining vehicles somewhere else sometimes. In this case, it worked the first time. The mining ship is occluded by this mining platform, but we'll get to those bugs eventually. But yeah, all of these ships are going back to their home base. The home base is powering the other mining ship. The mining ship is eventually going to go to this little mineral and start mining it. If there's any questions about the actual level editing, just let me know, and I'll answer them by email. Have a good one, guys.